Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I'm back with, back issues. It's sort of a store visit, but it's not a comic book store. So I'm not going to put it up on the comic book store map. I agonized over this decision, but it's not a comic book store. It's in Putnam, Connecticut. Now, there is a comic book store in Putnam, Connecticut. However, and it looked really cool, but it was closed the day I was there. It was closed on Mondays. We happened to be there on a Monday. So unfortunately, we weren't able to go in. But right across the street from the comic store in Putnam, Connecticut, is this gigantic antique mall with like 200 vendors or something like that. Like huge, several stories high. And there's a bunch of vendors in there that have comics. Like, I think I found at least 9 different vendors. $1 boxes, $2 boxes, $3 boxes, stuff that's not in boxes, Golden Age books, several short boxes of Silver Age books, Bronze Age books, some of them reasonably priced, some of them overpriced. So I spent a long time in there. In fact, I actually got burnt out. There was still a bunch of boxes from a cool dealer that I got some good stuff from that I didn't even get to because I was just done. My feet were killing me. I was there so long. So let me show you what I did get because I got a lot of cool stuff. I spent quite a bit of money. I almost spent a lot more. First, the dollar bin books. I'm going to start off right off the bat with the only dollar bin book that I'm going to be putting in my dollar bin for potentially a future trading challenge. Unfortunately it's only about a 6 at best, probably a 5.5. It's a Legion of Superheroes 298, the first appearance of Amethyst. So this book in this condition is only worth $8 or $10 for now. So this is going to be sort of a longer term hold, but this is the second time I found one of these, and I just found it for the first time ever just last month, a nice copy that I already traded away in the trading challenge. So I was happy to get another one, even though it does have a long color breaking crease here. What are you going to do? But I was happy to get this. So this will be going in my long-term hold box. Got some other cool dollar bin books, though. Some really weird indie stuff for the most part. So this one's not that weird, but what's interesting to me about this is it's Diary of Night #1, and when I was working on my comic, The Crime Busters, the first issue when I had Crime Busters #1 live on Kickstarter, Will Allred, the creator of Diary of Night, was also live at the same time with this comic, and we did cross promotion with each other. This is a book I'm very familiar with. I have a digital copy of it. However, I've never seen a physical copy, so it was really interesting to me to be at a random antique store and find a physical copy of a Kickstarted book. So that's the first time I've seen that. So I was really happy to get this to support Will, sort of. And I'm interested in finally reading a physical copy because I don't like the PDFs. This is something really interesting. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to be doing some research. It's a comic called The Desert Peach by Donna Barr. It's super thick. I haven't opened it yet, but it's like much thicker than a regular comic. It feels like it has to be like 40 pages or more. And what's really interesting to me, besides the style, is up here. This is issue 29, and they had an issue 30 there as well, and a couple others around there, like 28. They might have even had a 31. And I was just like, who is this? I've never heard of this series. How could, indie books that run this long are very rare, but if it's like a self-published local comic, I don't know. I've never heard of it. So I had to get it just to satisfy my curiosity. Once I have a chance to look at it, like I said, I'm immediately going to start researching it. It looks like it has a really interesting, indie style to it. But I'm fascinated by indie comic publishers and creators that self-publish for this long. And then on the other hand, there's this. It's Dark Justice #1. You may remember in the last video I got a Kyra #1, which was about this super strong female bodybuilder type who is a jungle, jungle queen sort of Sheena sort of thing. Here we have a female vigilante type. I appreciate the fact that it's a black superhero, and I'm not 100% sure about the anatomy here. The way they've drawn this, it looks like scales, right? Am I crazy? I think that's intentional because it is Dark Justice. So the scales of justice are actually weighing her boobs. I don't know. Love it. Haven't read it yet, but I've got to check it out just to find out what the heck is about. It looks like it's. I'm gonna guess this is like 91. It's the end of the sort of indie boom. And here's a much more recent indie comic dated 2005 on the art on the cover, and it's issue 1 of The Devil's Panties. I'll report back to you later. So that was one vendor. Here's another that had a bunch of cool stuff. Some of this stuff, I got to admit, I probably shouldn't have bothered buying, but I got a little carried away. So I got a couple issues of Green Lantern. They're not really worth very much, but I may end up giving some of these away in some of my stuff when I do my giveaways for subscriber giveaways, because this is an all-time classic Brian Bolland cover. I was surprised that this isn't actually worth much. Now, this copy is mid-grade. It's got a color breaking crease that starts here and goes down to about there. But this is like one of the classic Green Lantern covers, Brian Bolland. So I kind of thought it would be worth a little bit of something. It's not, but it's a great thing for any Green Lantern fan to have. If you're a Green Lantern fan and you don't have this, you should, because this is one of the all-time classic Green Lantern covers. So this is something I'll be giving away. I also picked this up on a whim. It's the first issue where Guy Gardner becomes a permanent Green Lantern. He had appeared a couple times before as a substitute Green Lantern, first in like an imaginary story in issue 59, and then he was in issue 116 where he was a backup Green Lantern, but this is where he becomes a full-time Green Lantern. Again, if you're a Green Lantern fan or a Guy Gardner fan, it's kind of a minor key must-have. I paid $3 for it. It turns out that's about what it's worth. This is actually in pretty nice shape, though. And then I got some Superman issues. So, in action, I had sold, of course, all of these off. I had a full, I've told this many times, so I won't get into it, but I had a full Bronze Age run of all the Superman titles. All of them. I sold them off, other than like Lois Lane and Supergirl, the good ones. But I bought back a few here, including one that I don't actually like and I'm going to be reselling. But some of the most infamous Superman in action covers from the Bronze Age. First of all, I got the Lick My Boot Foot Fetish cover. These were all $3. This vendor had a lot of Bronze Age books for $3 each. A lot. A lot of them were beat up. Some of them weren't, though. They had a lot of issues of Batman and Detective from the Bronze Age. So there's a lot of deals. I also got the stickers covering the face a little bit, but you know this one. This one's more beat up. This is the Zardoz tribute cover. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but it's a tribute to Sean Connery and Zardoz with this ridiculous outfit. Finally, I picked this one up. I'm going to be selling this. I don't actually like this issue because I think it's kind of gross, the reason people collect it. However, yes, it's the infamous Action 457. I'm not going to talk about why people buy it because it'll get my channel demonetized. Just not monetized to begin with. I don't want to get in any trouble with YouTube, so we're just not even going to talk about this. It's mid-grade. I paid $3 for it. This is one of these things on eBay. It's an interesting case study where if you put these up for auction, they're only going to sell for a couple dollars each. And I think that's because there's a lot of demand for it, but there's a lot of supply. So when you put it up on as an auction, people don't want to bid against each other because they can see that there's 15 other copies, so they're not going to go very high. But if you set it as a buy it now, people will buy it because they don't want to wait for the auction. They don't want to wait to find out if they can win an auction, right? So if you look at the sold listings, the ones that go for auction are selling for $2, $3, $5. But at buy it now, these are selling for $10, $15 regularly. So I paid $3 for it. I'm gonna try and flip it for 15 or something on eBay, get it back out of my collection, but make a little bit of money back because I am trying to be self-sufficient with my collecting. I didn't really buy anything else to flip, so this particular purchase is going to be a black hole in terms of my wallet. But I got a lot of cool stuff like this here. When I sold my Superman collection, I had just started reading when Crisis came out. So my first issue of Superman was 414, I think. Maybe 415. It was the issue that was the epilogue to Supergirl's death. I think. Anyway, so it was just a few issues before this. And so I bought this. I got Action Comics 583, this two-part Alan Moore, the classic. I got both of those off the stands. I think that was my first issue of Action, and I got it because it was this two-parter, right? And then, that was the end of my Superman collecting because they ended the series and rebooted the character like 6 months after I started reading it. But when I sold my collection of Superman stuff, I sold this as well, and now I was happy to get it back. So, and then finally we have a bunch of horror comics. Oh wait, first here's a war book. Different vendor now. I paid $8 for this, a little high maybe because it's a lower grade, but it's a book you don't see that often. It's Blitzkrieg #1, Joe Kubert. This was I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but it was a war book that was told from the German side. So, I'm not sure you really need to humanize the Nazis, but here's an attempt to do it. So, great Joe Kubert art and cover, and this is a series that is a little bit infamous, so as a war book collector, I feel like I need to get it. Now, here's the horror books. And some war. Crossover. These are the ones that I actually spent the money on. There's a lot of horror at this place. A lot of horror books. And I don't read horror comics, but I do collect some that have cool covers. I'm trying to refocus my collection just on the cool ones. I've shown some of these in some of the previous videos. I've been buying a lot of like specific key horror books, mostly early Bronze Age. That's my wheelhouse. Those are the ones I like, both the cover art and the cover design. They had a lot of horror from that period, and the prices were reasonable compared to the other books at this place. So, I'll show you what I ended up getting. This was $5. I've never seen it before. It's Ghost Manor #12. And this has a cool Native American, like, conquistador pirate sort of thing happening here. So I thought this was a really cool cover. I'm curious about the story. I have a particular interest in the Native American representation in the comics. So that was a really cool one. That was $5, and I've never seen that before. This one I probably could have gotten a little bit cheaper on eBay or something if I'd waited for it, because this is mid-grade only. But it's House of Secrets 134. I hate this banner era. Like, they're just destroying the design. However, look at this great art here. It's got this like painted, almost gray wash. Not even. It's almost like a charcoal on vellum sort of look to it. The coloring on this and the art, the line work is just so cool. This was $9. It's mid-grade. You can see it's got the spine ticks. So again, I didn't really get a deal on it, but what a cool cover. And just imagine if the logo was up here and it was one of those half frames that they did from about 20 issues before this. How cool would that have been? Impulse purchase. This is actually quite nice. Quite nice. Much higher grade. And it was $10. So in this grade, with this cool cover for this era, it's the Witching Hour, number 15. So yeah, again, it's high grade, $10. Such a cool design era for the books. That was $10. And here's the ones I really paid money for. I recently sold off my Weird War collection, but by the time this airs, I will have also showed that I got issue 1. So I have issue 1, I've got 93, the first Creature Commandos, and I got issue 15 because it has like the best cover in the whole series and one of the best war/horror covers, period. But there's a couple other issues that I really like, and it's specifically the 25-cent 52 big pages. The first 5 issues of Weird War have great design, and they also have these great Kubert covers. So here they are. Number 4. This is the 4th scalp tingling issue of Weird War. Absolutely love it. And number 5, the 5th mind-boggling issue of Weird War. I love this. They did this for the first 5 issues, and then the next issue was 6, is when it went to 20 cents, and so the design changed and they stopped doing that. But the first 5 issues all do this. They also have the number here, but they all have this big thing that says first issue, second issue, third issue, fourth, fifth. There's the one of the 4th and the 5th. I paid a total of $30 for these, and they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice. They're very solid books. I would say they're both in the 7.5 range. So I was very happy with the price on these. I think it's very, very fair. I would have, of course, liked to get them for $1 each, but $30 for the pair. So at this point, I think the only other issues of Weird War that I'm probably going to get is, I do want to get issues 2 and 3 now, because now I have issues 1, 4, and 5, and if I get 2 and 3, I'll complete that mini set of those first 5 25-cent issues with this really great designs. And I might get the first GI Robot again. It's not really the first GI Robot, but you know what I mean. So I might get that because I used to have it and now I don't. But all of those books were from the same antique mall, and there were tons more. There was one vendor, well, there were 2 vendors that had slots right next to each other. They had short boxes of the goods. They both had a ton of. One of them had a lot of Silver Age and Bronze Age Marvel stuff, but in particular a lot of like Rawhide Kid, a lot of that sort of thing. And they had some superhero stuff, some Fantastic Four. There was actually an issue of Daredevil, an early Daredevil that I was tempted to get because it looked very solid, and it was pretty cheap. I think it was issue 11, and it was only like, I don't know, $15 or $20, and it was in nice condition, so I almost bought that. The other dealer had almost the whole run of Tomb of Dracula. They're missing issues 1 and 10, but they had almost all the other ones. They had a nice looking number 2, which is a book that I really want. And they had issues 12 and 13 with the second and third appearance of Blade and the origin of Blade. They had a Star Wars number 1. They had a Strange Tales 88, so Monster Era. They had 3 copies of Jonah Hex number 1. From the 70s. They had a lot of good stuff. There's a Swamp Thing number 1. But and there was another key I'm blanking on, but everything was priced. Like, stuff was priced. The Star Wars was $375. The Jonah Hexes were $200 each. The Tomb of Draculas that I wanted were $90 each. Now this vendor, everything was 15% off, so it would have been like $76, and I would have been in at 50, right? So it was just agonizing. I desperately wanted to buy that number 2. I wanted to buy the 13 so I could flip it, the 12 and 13, and so I could resell them and get my money back. But they were selling them at the absolute top of the possible range. So the 13 was the same thing. It would have been 76, and at 50 I would have bought it. Because at 50 I could have flipped it for 76, right? So it was just it's agonizing to find all this cool stuff, but the person there was not willing to settle for anything less than top dollar, which is fair enough. It's their stuff. But if they had priced things cheaper, I would have bought a whole bunch of stuff from them, and they would have had a lot of money in their pockets right now, and I would have a lot more for this video. But so anyway, absolutely recommend. A really cool town too. We really liked Putnam a lot. So if you're in the Connecticut area, if you're going down 395, you're on the way to the casinos or something, stop off in Putnam. There's a comic book store right in the center of downtown. Really cute little downtown area with a lot of shops and a lot of neat stuff. But there's a comic book store, and then almost directly across the street, just kitty corner up the street from it, is this huge antique store where they have all of these vendors and a lot of really cool stuff. Deals go all the way to the third floor. That's where the $3, $2, and $1 boxes are. So you can find some cool stuff up there. If you have the money and you want to spend for the good stuff, they have the good stuff too down on the first floor. So anyway, that's it for this time. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.